Listen, I started a company when I was 17. 17. This was a company where I bought and sold truckloads of groceries. Okay? As insane as that sounds. Bottle of water. Every item in a grocery store has this UPC code on it. You know what this is, right? This little barcode. That has a 10-digit code that identifies this item anywhere in the world. It's the exact same 10-digit code they use everywhere for this bottle of water. Everywhere. Funny thing along the way, the manufacturer of this bottle of water cost them the same to make it. Everything's the same, all things being equal. But they're just like anyone else. They decide that this bottle of water, by the case, is worth $40 a case, right? That's the list price. That's what they've established as what it's worth at a wholesale level. Well, then they go off and they start discounting it. We sell it for $40 everywhere, but in this market we'll sell it and we'll take 20% off. In this market we'll take 30% off. In that market we'll take 50% off. And they do this in order to gain market share, in order to sell more. Right? If they're selling every bottle of water they could possibly manufacture in New York and they're getting list price for it, why would they discount the price? They wouldn't, right? But down in Miami, a lot more competition. They can't sell it. It's not working. So we'll sell it for half off down there. So the retailers will buy more of it, discount the price, and sell more of it through the stores. They just created a discrepancy in pricing. Welcome to my world. We created a little company where I would go into Miami, being the vulture that I was, and I would say, oh, wow, you're buying that for 50 cents on the dollar? How about I give you 60 cents on the dollar, and then I'm going to take it, and I'm going to ship it up to New York, and I'm going to sell it for 90 cents, because they're paying list. Make sense? And I make the money in between. Well, this little business that we started when I was a kid, by the time I was 23 years old, guys, was doing $50 million a year. And got bought. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. We got purchased by a company out of Boca Raton, Florida. This is my little fish out of water story. Boca Raton, Florida, they come calling, $800 million a year company. Say, owned by one guy, 40-year-old guy. I'm 26 now. We're going to buy your company, and we want you to move to Boca. And oh, by the way, here's the keys to the $800 million a year company. Because everything you did before, we just want you to do it with our business. So I'm like, here we go. Giddy up, baby. Let's go. Never been to college. Didn't know one thing except how to be successful. From 17 to 27, basically I'd never failed. Had never experienced failure. Didn't know what it felt like to any level. Nothing but up. Golden boy. Come down here to Boca Raton, Florida. They throw me the keys to the castle, and 3 years later, that $800 million a year company was doing $1.8 billion with me running it. That's a B. If you're running a $2 billion a year company, you're making a hell of a lot of money. They pay you well to do that. I lived right down the street, Southeast 10th, right at the Intercoastal, right behind Deerfield Beach, right down here next to the Cove. Lived on the water, had the big fat boats, had the jet skis. Recently divorced, so God knows, couldn't have just one car. Had to have three, right? Had to have the Porsche. Had to have the Land Rover. Well, God knows, you got to have the Lexus. This is how insane my life was at this point. I tell this story often, but it's absolutely true that in December of 1999, I can remember, as sure as I'm standing here, signing a bonus check for a gentleman in my office, one of my managers by the name of Tony Philpy. I signed a check for him that was $52,000 for his quarterly bonus. Right? He'd hit his numbers, signed him a check for him. And I can remember looking at his year-to-date earnings. So this is, through that time, I look at the down and he'd made $250,000 and change right there. God's honest truth. I can remember thinking to myself, how the hell does anybody live off $250,000 a year? Like he's poor. Okay? Like he's poor. Because I'm making 3 times that, and I'm just a product, and I want you to understand you are just a product of your experience to date. You ever heard the saying, you don't know what you don't know? I didn't know what I didn't know. I'd never experienced anything outside of those 4 walls that was anything but success. Didn't know that's not the way it was really supposed to go. Didn't know that I was actually living some kind of dream. I just thought this is what life had laid out for me, and this is what I was supposed to do. And so, needless to say, going from 17 to 30, never experiencing failure, I was a little bit full of myself. Let's be honest, I was a lot full of myself. You think I'm cocky now? You should have seen me then. Okay? There's a difference between being cocky and confident. Back then, I was a lot of both. I just didn't think I could fail. And little did I know that waiting right around the corner, that March 14th of 2000, my life would change dramatically. Where I just decided I was just full of enough piss and vinegar that I was going to walk in there and quit. I didn't think about it too much, as I told you earlier. I just did it. I basically had asked the guys, I had made them a lot of money. The guy that owned the company, I was like, look, dude, when you gave me the keys to the company, you were making $10 million a year. You just made $56 million pre-tax, went directly into your bank account. I don't think it's too much to ask to give me 1% of the company. Just tie me to it forever where I never leave. And he was like, nope. And I was just like, all right, you ready for my resignation? 7:30 in the morning before a sales meeting. He's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I was like, well, you know what? You got it. I'm out of here. See ya. Walked out the door. No particular reason, just kind of, it happened. And I got outside and I'm like, oh my God, what the hell did I just do? Because I had no idea what I was going to do. Zero. But I did know whatever it was, I was going to go after it and everything I could to prove to him that he had just made a mistake. So I had $1.6 million in the bank. Here we go. I'm going to go start a business. I'm going to go start a business right back in this grocery industry. I can do it all over again. I'm going to build the whole thing back up. And this time I'm going to make myself rich instead of making him rich. And I'm going to basically give him the middle finger, and here we go. And you know what? Along the way, I'm going to go talk to all of his employees. I'm going to try to take all of his employees. And then I'm going to try to take all of his customers. And then I'm going to go back and talk crap about him every chance I get. Because that's a good idea, by the way. I told you I wasn't that bright. And it took them 22 months, guys. 22 months to wipe me out. They went after me with a vengeance. Those extra zeros in the bottom of their bank account versus mine, those matter. They matter. Those zeros add up real quick, baby. I got buried in an avalanche of lawsuits and attorneys and this and that. I mean, it was insane. And I watched the bank account go from $1.6 million in March of 2000 to December 22nd of 2002, I had $4,000 in the bank. Now, let me go and tell you, if you want a swift kick to the teeth, go watch a bank account drop by $1.6 million in 22 months. It's the most gut-wrenching thing you could ever go through. It's horrible. 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 So when I tell you I've experienced failure, well, I've been there. Because I was this rock star in this industry, right? I was this golden boy kid that had never failed. And here I am. I've pissed everybody off. I've burned every bridge. I've pushed everything in, and I went straight off the cliff. You talk about not trying to really knowing what the hell you're going to do. I was in the abyss, trying to figure out how I was going to come out of it. And the reality is when you get down to that level, and you've sold everything, and you've given up everything, and you're just completely humbled as you can possibly be, you'll figure out real quick what you're made of. Real quick. Because you can curl up in a ball and blame everybody else, or you can get up on your feet and go. And that's what this is about. The question was asked earlier. How do you, when you're getting pushed around and you're not really feeling like things are working or whatever, what do you do? That's what I'm going to cover. I'm going to show you exactly what you should be doing. This is my take on it. It's by no means the Bible, but I will tell you it comes from a lot of experience, a lot of real world experience. I got into real estate out of necessity. I watched the same late night infomercials that you guys watched, right? I saw it. I got rushed into a room in West Palm Beach at an Embassy Suites, and the guys up there like, listen, hey, you can wholesale houses and make $5, $10, $15, $20,000 right now with no experience, no money, no credit. Just give me $1,000 and I'll show you how. Go to the back of the room. Anybody ever been in that situation? Okay. Well, I went. Okay? And it was 25% of every dollar I had that I put down right there. That $1,000 was, it was what it was. Here's the difference. I didn't have any choice. As long as you have a choice, you're never going to be the half of what you're capable of being. I didn't have a choice. I just had to go. Did it. Jumped in. As I told you, 14 days later, cashed a check for $8,000. My life changed forever, right there. And ever since then, I have never looked back. I will tell you that I have absolutely flirted, as close as anybody wants to go, with losing it all over again. Back in the crash of 2007, 2008, I came this close to it all collapsing around me all over again. Anybody ever feel that way? Yeah, okay. Make it sure. My point is it's not about getting knocked down. It's about getting up and keep pushing, keep driving, keep doing whatever you've got to do to be successful. So that's what this is about. I don't care about failing. I just care about trying. Okay? So I want you to write these down. I want you to write all of these down. You're going to get them as well, but I want you to write these down because it's going to stick with you if you just put it to paper. All right, so what's the biggest key? And these aren't any really in particular order except for this one. The biggest thing I can tell you to do is do something. Stop thinking about it and start doing it. Many of you said earlier, this is not my first real estate event. Ironically, a lot of the same people that said, hey, I've been to multiple events, those are the same people that had their hands up when I asked you whether you've ever done a deal. And you said no. Let me help you out with this. There's no graduation. I don't care how many of these they're going to, you're not going to get a diploma. And they say, you're officially a real estate investor, now go do your first deal. Doesn't work like that. What you learn in here over the next 3 days is just theory. It's me up here ranting and trying to drive it into you up until the point that you actually take action out there. Nothing changes unless you do something. Put right one foot in front of the other, completely understand that it's going to feel uncomfortable, and just go. Just do it. Suck it up. Just go. Take action. Go as far as to tell yourself it is not ready, aim, fire. Ready, fire, aim. Go, take a shot. If you don't hit the target, adjust, take another shot. Take another shot. Everybody get me? You know where I'm coming from? That's what entrepreneurs do. We push. We go after it. You can sit here and be as analytical as you want to be. You can try and break it down every way you want to break it down. I've seen everything under the sun. There's not one thing you could tell me this weekend on why you haven't done a deal yet that's going to surprise me. I've heard it all. Heard it all. Logos. I'm waiting on my LLC to get set up before I do anything. I want to look at the contracts and make sure I have a good understanding. I've got 3 attorneys looking at it before I go make an offer. I mean, come, really? Really? Come on. Let's go. Take some action. There is no safety net here. You're going to have to go. You're going to have to embrace it a little bit. Number 2, be deliberate, calculated, and decisive. You don't have to know what you're doing. You just have to act like you know what you're doing. Everybody hear what I'm saying there? Be deliberate, calculated, and decisive. You don't have to know, but you need to act like you know. There's 2 things that happen when you do that. Because some of you feel like, oh man, I've been to these events and I just haven't gotten enough information yet to go off and actually make an offer. By virtue of you being in here for the next 3 days, you have more information than 99% of your competitors out there. By spending 3 days here. That's it. You've taken the time to learn more than most have. You wonder why somebody's more, is getting the deals that you're not getting? It is not about your education, I promise you. It's about that they're doing something while you're thinking about it. So just go. Be deliberate. Take some actions. Be decisive. I'm going to tell you how to do that here in a second. Recognize opportunity. How many of you in the room have ever maybe experienced this, maybe you haven't. How many of you have ever gone out and looked at a car, right? You got a car that you're excited about. You go test drive it. You don't buy it yet, but you test drive it. You're taking a look at it. Maybe you've even looked at it online. You're just kind of thinking about it really hard. You're really analyzing it. You got that new whatever it is picked out. How many of you have ever done that? And just haven't necessarily pulled the trigger yet. That after you do that and you're driving down the street, it's like, oh, there's one. Oh, there's one. They're everywhere now. How did that happen? Before, there was none. Now, all of a sudden, that I want that, SUV, they're everywhere. The exact cars everywhere that I'm looking at. I never even noticed them before. You understand what happens, right? This changed. That's all it changed. Your mind became open to the opportunity. And you recognize that it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's no different than if I asked you to stand up here right now and I said, listen, everybody in this room right now that's wearing a blue shirt has $1 million. Out of my peripheral vision, I will notice everybody that's got a blue shirt. Right? Nothing's changed. I open this to recognize opportunity. Do you understand? Nothing is different. What changes is that you open your mind to it. You need to give yourself permission to see the opportunity in everything. In everything. That's what entrepreneurs do. When somebody comes at you, guys, I'll give you an example. Since 2003, my family and I, our partners, we've built 8 years. 5 multi-million-dollar companies. Multi-million. 5 of them. Each one of those companies has come from us recognizing that there's an opportunity to do something here that otherwise we wouldn't have taken advantage of. Classic example of that, property management. Right? We saw an inefficiency in the market and we jumped. And it's now turned into, right now, in our property management department, we have $800,000 a month in rent that comes in. $800,000 in rent. Do you think we make any money at property management now? Yeah. Yeah. Do the math. 9%. Okay, we're doing okay in property management now. We would have never, ever even taken advantage of that if we weren't, dialed in with, hey, what's going on? What can we do? What can we do? I'm not even telling you that being up here, I'm going to introduce you to a guy in a few minutes that he's one of our coaching students, really good real estate investor, really good realtor. And then all of a sudden he got dialed in. He's like, you know what? I kind of see that there's some people out here that really don't know how to do anything with their websites. I think there might be a business here. And he started building websites for real estate investors. He has a business now, a real business that's doing very, very well. Just recognize opportunity. Give yourself permission. If somebody's willing to help you, if somebody's willing to work with you, if somebody's willing to show you a different way, you need to be willing to listen. If you're shutting them down because you think you know more than you know, you just shut the door on opportunity. Okay? And that really goes a lot for people that, the beauty of being young, 20 years old, 17 years old, starting a business, 23 years old, running a business, whatever the case may be. I just didn't know any better. I was so naive. I just didn't care. Nobody could tell me anything. I was just at that point where, I'll go do anything I got to do. I believe I can do anything. I had no preconceived notions whatsoever. Opportunity was everywhere for me because I just didn't know any better. That's What I'm going to tell you, remind yourself to do that. Number 4 is probably one of the most important things I can tell you. Give yourself permission to fail. Kind of scary, right? Because nobody naturally wants to fail. Nobody wants to lose it all. Nobody wants to go down. Nobody wants to feel like a loser. We all have this survival instinct inside of us that says, hey, we want to do whatever we can to survive and exist and do better and continue to prosper. So nobody by any sense wants to fall down and get beat up. But I will tell you, the most liberating thing that I've ever done is when I finally just said, all right, if I go down, I'm going down with a fight, baby. I'm not afraid of going down. But I'm going to go down swinging and swinging hard. And it's okay. I'm willing to lose it all. I'm willing to fail miserably. And in that statement, in and of itself, you understand that all the chains come off, right? Now I can do anything. I have no fear at all. I simply just don't care. I don't. It's people find it astonishing that I'm like that. I don't. I have a friend of mine. He's like, no, Ken, it's one thing to say you don't care, and it's a whole other thing that you really just don't care. I don't. I've lost it all. I'm still here, right? I've had foreclosures. I've had bankruptcies. I've been right there. Right there. Know exactly what that feels like. I've gotten kicked to the curb more times than I can tell you. I'm here. Still kicking. Still doing it. Still one of the best at it. Not scared of it. Be naive. That's again, a nice thing about when you're young is that, we see our kids, we like small kids, they have no fear. Like they're running around the house, they're jumping over couches, they're jumping over beds, they're jumping on, they're doing everything. I've got a 6-year-old daughter, she's a maniac. She has zero fear. And I'm too busy trying to tell her to be cautious, be cautious, be cautious. And you're like, what are you talking about? I can't possibly get hurt. She just doesn't know what she doesn't know, right? There's something very endearing in that. That if you just sit there, there's a lot to be learned with kids. Where you sit there and like, I just don't have any fear anymore. Let me give you a real reason to not be fearful, okay? Let me give you a real world story. Before we move on to the next one. 2011 was a really crazy year for me. Our business exploded, needless to say. But I had 3 very real world experiences that shook me to my core. And nothing to do with business. Nothing. In late 2010, my stepfather, a man that's been married to my mother for 30 plus years, might as well be my father, got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. Smoker his entire life. All right? Comes from a generation where that's just what they did. Grew up in southern Georgia, basically been smoking since he was a kid. Stage 4 lung cancer. That's a death sentence. He was told he had a 4% chance of surviving longer than 6 months. Devastated my mother. My mother's one of the most loving, endearing individuals I've ever met. Right? She's just got that, we all know him, and she's got just a heart of gold. Do anything for anybody. To watch this break her in front of me was one of the worst experiences of my life. Here I am watching my stepfather, in our mind, basically be sentenced to die. And it was horrible. Which, by the way, side note, you want a great book that'll remind you of what's really important? Go get this book from Lance Armstrong. It's not about the bike. That's a great book. That will remind you right now why you're really here. Okay? Anyway, so Luther gets sentenced to death. He's told to go home, get your house in order. Basically prepare to die. Calls us, calls everybody, basically tries to make sure that everybody knows. They start making trips to come out and see my daughter, trips to see my son, really trying to just be as good a grandparents as they can as fast as they can before it's over. Starts going to chemo, starts going to radiation, really starts going to that unbelievable process of just getting the shit kicked out of you to fight cancer. Right? The chemo and the radiation is much worse than sometimes the cancer itself. Funny thing happened. He goes back at the end of March, and no cancer. Completely gone. To the point where they're like, we've never seen this. Ever. We can't find a single trace of it. It's gone, right? Now, from September to March was the worst moments, in his life and in our life. From March on, you can imagine. Life has a whole new meaning at that point, right? Oh my God. I'm going full out as hard as I can. Because God only knows how long I'm going to be here. Now, as fate would have it, my mentor, my mother's oldest brother, a gentleman by the name of John Bloodworth, 60-year-old man, which is young, right? 60 is nothing. 60-year-old guy. He's sitting here. If I walked him in here, you'd think he was 40. Right? CEO of this major company, makes millions of dollars a year, very, very, very successful. Been, again, like a father to me for a lot of my life. Really helped me a lot in business over the years. Anyway, in October of last year, about the same time, he gets about the exact same time that Luther got diagnosed. Luther was diagnosed in September. John was in October. He has like a pimple on the side of his neck down here in Fort Lauderdale. Except it's kind of a little bit of a lump. Goes and gets it checked out. Long story short, it's a form of skin cancer. Right? And they're so, blasé about it that it's almost frightening. They're like, dude, this is like outpatient. Just go get that thing snipped off. You'll be back at work in 2 days. Don't even worry about this. This is like a 99% chance survival rate. Well, he died in October. Gone. Like that. And just shocked me at the polarity of that, right? And the way it happened. Well, in May of this year, I'm sitting there and I'm on a plane flying home from, so I told you there was 3 stories, right? So in May of this past year, Seema, myself, my daughter, Joe, we're all on an airplane flying back from Memphis, Tennessee. We just did a buying tour, an event in Memphis. Met a bunch of investors up there. Everything was great. We flew back. We got on an airplane in Atlanta to fly to West Palm. Get on the plane. We're at about 35,000 square feet. I'm over there working. Now, because we had all bought our tickets at separate times, I'm sitting in one part of the plane. My daughter and my wife are sitting 6 rows behind me. And Joe's all the way at the back of the bus, where he belongs. So, we're sitting there, and all of a sudden I kind of get this weird smell. I look up, the entire cabin is filled with smoke. I'm going to go and tell you, when you're on an airplane and the whole thing is filled with smoke, that's not fun. That ain't fun. There's a lot of emotion that comes rushing over you right there because you know your ass is on fire. It's about to get scary, and it's about to go down real fast. Now, that little thing that they tell you that they do with all the stewardesses where they go, okay, if there's a case of emergency, we're going to go here and here. It don't work like that. Because this chick gets on the radio, it's like, oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, please return to your seats. Yes, we realize that the cabin is filling with smoke. Please, crew, return to your stations. Get the carts. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? They are freaking out. So needless to say, if they're freaking out, in your mind, you're like, oh my God, this is really serious. We're going down, right? They are freaking out. People are running, cabins filling with smoke, people are screaming, crying, all this crap's going on, and basically the pilot goes, whoosh. That's not what you want to do on an airplane. Because now it's really serious. So we're basically, unbeknownst to us at the time, we didn't know this, but basically we were over Central Florida, basically over Gainesville, right? Atlanta to West Palm, we're kind of over Gainesville. They make this massive right turn down, and we go from 35,000 feet to 13,000 feet in 1 minute on a passenger airplane. And I don't mind you, I'm scared out of my mind. It's done. It's over. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm going to go out like this. Now, make the matters worse, I can hear my little girl crying and I can't do one thing about it. I can't get up. I can't go back. Can't do one thing. They're literally coming over the speaker saying, okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make an emergency landing in Tampa. We need you to pay attention to your stewardesses. Pull your seatbelt low and tight. Put your head between your legs. And put your arms on the back of the seat. And nothing you ever want to hear is brace for impact. I'm like, holy shit. This is going to happen. I'm on an airplane and they just told me to brace for impact. I'm freaking out. It is overdone, right? And I fly every week. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. Just talking about it right now is making my heart race. And I got all this stuff racing through my head. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Long story short, to the chase here. Needless to say, I'm standing here. So is Joe. We make an emergency landing in Tampa. Fire trucks come out to the whole plane. Another thing you don't ever want to see, by the way. You don't ever want to be on that airplane, the one that's stranded at the end of the runway that everybody's trying to avoid, where the fire trucks are driving to it. You don't want to be on that one. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, we're still on fire. Now they're just going to figure it out, and they're not letting us off just in case the ship blows up. Good times. Now they get out there, they come on, and I couldn't even tell you how unbelievably nonchalant they were. They come on, they're like, all right, you're not on fire now. All right, let's just pull it up to the gate. Get it up to the gate, and they're like, okay, everybody just go ahead and get off the plane, and we're going to kind of look it over and try to figure out what happened here. But everybody stick around, and we'll figure out how we're going to get you to West Palm. I'm like, see ya. I am done. I'll drive my ass. I rented a van right then, and we drove. And it was the best 4-hour drive of my life. I had people in the van with me. We had a lady that I didn't even know. She's like, I'm going to West Palm too. Can I hitch a ride? Like, come on. And Joe and I talk about it all the time. We have no idea who this lady was. We've never met her. We didn't get her name, nothing. But she talked our ear off the entire time. Because we're all, that whole nervous energy. Like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And, we were all too happy to just keep on driving. Right? My point in that is that in those moments, you'll figure out that it's really not a big damn deal to fail. What you think is a big deal just isn't. Just isn't. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. You got one shot at this thing. You might as well go for it. Everything you can out of it. Because you're not going to get a second chance. You don't get another shot. This is it. We have a saying in my office. All of our employees have this in front of them. They've heard me say it 1,000,000 times. This ain't practice. You're in the game right now. Whether you want to play or not is up to you. But you're in it. You're here. You're breathing. Air's in your lungs. You might as well go as hard as you can, do everything you can, and give yourself permission to fall flat on your face because in the end, who cares? I promise you, you're not going to think about when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to think about, take it from somebody that got faced with my mortality in a very real way. I wasn't thinking about, oh man, I wish I had just gone off and tried to build another business. It just doesn't work like that. Okay? You might as well go for it. Get everything out of it you can get out of it. All right, number 5, embrace the struggle. It's supposed to be hard. It's part of it. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. We've heard that all of our lives, right? You're not supposed to have all the answers. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're supposed to get your knees skinned up a little bit. You're supposed to get kicked around a little bit. You're supposed to make some mistakes. That's okay. That's part of the process. And I promise you, it will make you better at everything you do. You will learn in a very real way if you will just make the struggle part of the process. I need to get kicked around a little bit. I need to learn. Remember I told you go make 100 offers? If you go make 100 offers, you'll learn real quick why you don't need to be afraid of that. If you sit here on Monday morning and you say, oh, you know what, I'm not going to make 100. I'll make 3. You just went back on the very thing I told you not to. Embrace the struggle. What's the worst thing that could happen? You might actually make some money, right? Go. Push. Now, Heather talked about this. I want to tell you something here that I learned a few years ago that's very, very powerful. And it's going to get a little deep on you. But hopefully you guys know me, that I would not ever bring something to you if I didn't believe in it. And if I certainly didn't believe that it absolutely works. Your mind thinks in pictures. It's the way we think stuff. If you will take the time to paint vivid pictures for your mind of your success and what it represents, your mind will start making decisions for you. I'll tell you what I mean by that. There's an exercise that I did a few years ago called A Perfect Day. Heather just talked about it. It goes something like this. Every one of you here needs to take the time to paint a very vivid picture of what your perfect day is. I'll tell you how powerful this is and why you would do this. Now, your perfect day has nothing to do with geography, your wealth, your family, your friends, your health, nothing. If none of that held you back, what would you do? If you could design the very perfect day, kind of like Groundhog Day. In other words, you have to live it over and over and over. Because the idea is, let's just be honest here, every one of us here is trying to design the perfect life. Well, it should probably start with the perfect day. Pretty much, right? If you had to live the same day over and over and over and over and over again, what would you do? What would it be like? Now, why would you go through this exercise? Why is this important? I'll give you a book to read. It's the second book that I'm mentioning in this presentation. First one was Lance Armstrong's. It's not about the bike. Second one, it's T. Harv Eker, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Okay, here's the process. Your mind is an amazing machine, but you have two sides of it. You have the conscious and the subconscious. So the conscious mind is your analytical side. It's that little thing on your shoulder that tells you can't do something or that you can. It's reason. It's the one that sits there and says, okay, I'm going to do this. It's the decision maker. Your subconscious is a computer. Doesn't comprehend anything. Takes it, spits it. Takes it, spits it. Goes. Your subconscious mind is what makes you blink. It's your intuition, heartbeat, breathing, all those little things that you do in an involuntary, that's your subconscious mind doing all that. You don't have nothing to do with that. You don't ever think about it. Your subconscious mind makes roughly 5,000 decisions a minute. Your conscious mind makes a few hundred. Think of the power if you can train your subconscious mind. Think of the power if you can actually create your intuition. Does that make sense? This is what people do to create and design their lives. So, if you paint a picture of your perfect day, and I'll tell you kind of, by example, mine was about me going off and waking up in the morning. Now, let me back up. When I did this, my business had just taken a massive hit at 1-800-SELL-NOW. Massive. I had investors from all around the country that were paying me thousands of dollars every month to use my brand. Well, when all their business shifted, what is the very first thing you think they cut? Me. So here I have this business that's bringing in roughly $100,000 a month, and in 1 month it dropped to 8. That'll get your attention. That's a pretty scary place. I'm having to fire people, let all these people go. This is where I'm talking about I was flirting with it again. It's like, oh my God, here we go, man. I can't catch a break. Build another business, get hit. Have to cut people, have to do all this crazy stuff, but I saved the business. So at this exact time, when I don't have anything to lose, a mentor of mine is like, dude, you need to go do this. You need to actually get in control of your life instead of you being at the mercy of everybody else. You're out here doing all this stuff, and you're not really designing the life that you want. You're just building businesses. You think you think you're something special because you can build a business, but the reality is you haven't even bothered to build a life that you really enjoy. Go design it. So I took him up on it. Literally, I had nothing to lose. When you're kind of up against the wall, what do you care? So I had time on my hands. So I went off and I basically took the time to sit down and talk to myself about what my perfect day looked like. And I wrote it down. Wrote it down. And guys, this is pages and pages and pages of detailed information, painting a very vivid picture for my brain of what my day should look like. If I had nothing holding me back, what should it look like? I live in a mansion on the beach. All the windows are open. I'm just hanging out, laying there in bed. Wind blows through, wakes me up. My daughter's there with me. I drive my daughter. I take her to school. We hang out. There's no pressure whatsoever. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about in here. Well, funny thing. What I did with that was not only did I write it down, but I actually recorded myself saying it. And then I put it into my iPod. And I listened to it over and over and over and over again. When I slept, when I worked out, when I was in my car, I just listened. It wasn't really necessarily that I was hearing it, but what was real important is that my subconscious was hearing it. My intuition was kicking in. Well, one of the things that I talked about in that perfect day was that, I'm driving down to my office. I'm going down the beach, driving to my office. My office is filled with employees. I got all these friends that we're hanging out with, working out. I don't really work that hard. Basically, all I do is show other people how to do stuff and make a bunch of videos and kind of play around, and we get paid a ton of money to do it. I just have this great life. Come and go as I want, travel the world. July 26th. Driving down the beach to my new office. This is less than 6 months later, by the way. To my new office, where I've got Joe Metcalf, another girl there working for me. Seema's working there now. By the time when I originally wrote this, Seema didn't even work with us. Right? I had to cut it all down to one man. Me, when I wrote this. The business was dying. Write all this stuff down, driving down the road, driving to my office. Lo and behold, this little business that was down to doing about $8,000 a month was already back in one of the worst real estate markets of the world at that point, doing $80,000 a month. And you know what I was getting paid to do? Make a bunch of videos, tell people how to build a business, show them exactly how to do it, showing other people how to be successful, showing other people what it takes to persevere, basically doing what I love and I'm passionate about doing. I had designed this life and it was happening. And I would tell you, as sure as I'm sitting here, and I'm not this guy, just so you understand. I'm not the head game guru. Okay? Not that guy. I'm the guy that's absolutely, those of you that are sitting out there like, this guy is so full of crap. That was me, so that you understand. But all of a sudden I found out real quick just how powerful your mind is when you apply it. I'll never forget, I got a call from a friend of mine that says, listen, I've got an office down in Fort Lauderdale. This was in April. And he said, I got an office down here. I got some extra space. I don't know if you just want to get out of the house. If you want to take it on. I had no business taking on an office. Hell, I didn't have any employees. That money was in an office. I was like, sure. I'll just take it on. Just seemed like the right thing to do. Seemed like the right thing to do. Why do you think it seemed like it? This was working in the background. Seemed like the right thing to do. Took it on. A few weeks later, Joe Metcalf walks in my office. I need an opportunity. I know what I'm doing. I'm good at it. And I want to work with you. Okay, I can't pay you $1. You do deals, you make money. We're going to do it together. We're going to build a business. We go. Right? Amazing how all of a sudden it starts attracting that into my life, isn't it? I can't pay you anything, but I'll do business with you. We'll figure out a way to make it together. Joe comes up and is like, hey, man, I got somebody that you need to meet. Friend of mine, Dan Merrill. I want to introduce you because I think he could help you promote 1-800-SELL-NOW. Okay, let's do it. Go off, do a promotion together. That one promotion generated $60,000, $70,000 a month in income, and we were off to the races again. Next thing I know, 2 months later, I'm speaking all over the country, showing people how to build their business back up. All the stuff I'd done before, but I've just got it framed in a different way. I tell you this because I don't want you to doubt for a second that you can control it right here. You get this under control, and everything else is just what it is. It'll get out of the way. You know, your thoughts, your success is like water. It's looking for the path of least resistance. It's looking for a way to get out. And if you continue to throw up barriers and listen to all the people that tell you it can't be done, you'll get exactly what you deserve. You'll get exactly what you deserve. Picture your success, paint vivid pictures for your mind, repeat it to yourself, go through the exercise, take it serious, as quirky and as uncomfortable as it is, take it serious, stick to it, and I promise you, you're going to come back to me, just like many people have already, and said, man, that was the most powerful thing I've ever done. Number 7, understand your fear. Do you have a fear of failing? Or do you have a fear of not trying? Because that's the only 2 fears you got. Either you're afraid of failing, or you are afraid of not trying, of regret. Here's the big takeaway. Successful people have a fear of regret. It is more painful for me to think about not trying than it is for me to think about falling flat on my face. I don't want to be sitting on my deathbed. I don't want to be on an airplane at 35,000 feet going down thinking to myself, God, I wish I had done this. No thanks. I want to go down and be thinking, which by the way, is exactly what I was thinking. You know what? I played full out. I did as good as I can do. I've had a great life. And that's very calming. That's the way you want to go. So do you have a fear of failure or a fear of regret? I will tell you that 99% of the people in the world have a fear of failure. And that's the one thing you got to flip. Not everything I've told you today, let me just say it. Everything I told you today doesn't matter if you don't address that one thing. I can teach you and teach you and teach you and show you exactly what it takes to build systems. If you don't flip that switch, it will never happen. You have to give yourself permission to fail, which means you simply have to say to yourself, I just don't care about failing. I have a fear of not trying. This is my shot. This is my one opportunity. I got to go. I got to go as hard and as fast as I can because this ain't practice. I'm in it. Here we go. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to create my dream life. It matters to me that much. Now, I want you to understand something, why this matters. How many of you have kids? Let me see your hands. Okay. I want you to use this to motivate yourself. I want you to think about the power that you're giving your kids. If you show them by example, through example, you show them that they can have whatever it takes, get whatever they want out of life, then get anything they want. You're not talking about it. You're doing it. You're showing them. Here's how I came to appreciate this. I didn't go to college, guys. I didn't buy into the American dream. I didn't get the memo that said, oh, you know what? You got to go and go to school, go to college, go work for somebody else and make them rich. Go work for 30 years, 40 years, whatever it is. Get the nice little pat on the butt and get the gold watch and say, see you later, peace out. Didn't get that memo. I am 150% unemployable. And proud of it. Right? Could not work for anybody. Can you imagine me as an employee? I mean, I would be your problem child. I have a little bit of an issue with authority, if you don't know, if you can't tell. Here's the thing. My father was a guy that barely graduated from high school and just went to work in the grocery business for a long time and basically ran stores and did all this other stuff. And I watched him go off and take a chance, go open his own grocery stores and go bankrupt doing it. And then I saw him start another business in the grocery industry and get going and go bankrupt again. Then I saw him build another grocery business and become a multimillionaire. And now I've seen him do it all over again in real estate. This is a guy that I'm telling you has a tough time with basic math, but is one of the smartest guys you'll ever meet. Because the one thing he's got figured out is that he's got one shot at it. And he's just willing to do whatever it takes. So as a kid, I got it naturally, right? I'm around this all day long. I remember my father telling me the big saying, I used to hate him for this, right? By the way, I say it now in an appreciative way, but when I was going through it when I was a kid, I hated it. I mean, we battled over this. But I've just come to appreciate over the last few years how big a gift it really is to give this to somebody. So when I was a kid, dude, I was working in grocery stores when I was 13. Child labor. Not getting paid anything. And my father used to tell us over and over and over and over again, good isn't good when great is expected. I will never forget that. I've had it just, not literally, but just beaten into my head. Why would you settle is what he's saying. Why would you settle? If you know you can do better, then why aren't you doing better? It's a pretty good philosophy to live by, right? So I look back and, as I turned 41 this past year, and I look back and I'm like, dude, I was running a $2 billion a year company when I was 27 years old. Ask yourself what you were doing when you were 27. Hell, ask yourself what you were doing when you were 23. Because at 23, I was running a $50 million a year company. And now here I am at 41, have been beaten down about as much as you can, repeatedly, several times, been as humbled as you can possibly humble, and been able to build very successful businesses in arguably one of the worst recessions ever, right? One of the worst economies we've ever gone. Now, how does that happen? It's not luck. That comes down to that you're trained to just go for it. Come back to my original point to you. If you got kids, what better gift could you possibly give them? Train them now. What's the easiest way to train them? Go for it. Go get it. Go grab your piece right now. Show them. Be willing to fail. Willing to go as hard as you need to go. Because what they will learn from you will create dream lives for them going forward. They'll have the skill sets they need to go create their own version of the American dream. Does that make sense to everybody? Say yes? Yes. Okay. Willing to outwork everybody. It's a great, great video on YouTube. I tell you to go get it. It's called Will's Wisdom. It's by Will Smith. Dude, it's a great video. Great video. It's one funny thing that's on there that I'll never forget, and it's exactly the way I feel. They ask him what was the key to his success, which we would all say that pretty successful guy, right? Yeah. I mean, let's talk about it. This guy, as a kid, was a successful entertainer in music, television, and now movies, right? By anybody's measure, this guy's a successful guy. What's the key to your success? That was it right there. Number 9. I'm willing to outwork everybody. He's like, when I get on a treadmill and you get on a treadmill, one of two things are going to happen. Either you're going to get off first, or I'm going to die. And I was like, dude, there you go. That's it. That's what it takes. That's what it takes to be successful. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, willing to outwork everybody, and so should you. Now, work isn't defined about how many hours you put in or whatever. It's defined by what are the things you're doing. That's strategic as well as blood, sweat, and tears. What are the things you're doing to put yourself in a position to win? Got it? Make sense? Okay. Find your passion and focus on that. Outsource everything else. Find your passion. Focus on that. Let somebody else do everything else. I'm a living example of this, guys. I'm doing what I'm passionate about right in front of you today. I want people to just get it. I want them to go. I want them to push. I want them to stop thinking. I want them to start doing. I want to know that they can make it happen. This is what I live for. I love this stuff. I'm good at marketing, good at wholesaling, and I'm good at getting in your head and making you go. I don't want to buy and sell houses anymore. I've outsourced all of it. Everybody else does all that. My two brothers, my father, they don't do it either. We've built our dream lives. We find what we're passionate about and go get other people to do all the other stuff. Listen, I come back to the whole technician thing. There's many of you that, again, even after I've said it, and this will be the second time I say it, you will still go do this, that you will print the letters and you will stuff the envelopes and you'll put the postage on it. Okay? I found a guy for you that's passionate about that bullshit. If you want to find somebody that's passionate about direct mail that will do it for you, and you don't have to do one, use that guy. Unless you just absolutely love printing stuff, stuffing it in envelopes, and mailing crap, what business do you have doing it when somebody else is willing to do it for 45 cents? I mean, that's kind of it's an extreme example, but it's exactly what I'm talking about. I get people that, I just got to do it. Oh, okay. Good luck. Have fun. Here we go. Number 11. Many of you are scared to death of systems, scared to death of technology. You still think the best way to do stuff is out of sheer brute force. And success is defined a lot of different ways. But I would tell you, if you want to be successful, you need to embrace where you are. Technology exists to make your life a lot easier. Heather gave you a great example. Stuff that we would spend hours, tens of hours every week doing. I mean, she does it in like 3 seconds. That gets my attention because you know who gets all that time back, right? And I would much rather be off traveling the world, doing whatever I want to do, having a good damn time, and getting paid to do it. That's the kind of life I want right now. Now, mind you, let me help you with something. 2003, $4,000, right? Didn't know anything about real estate. 8 years later, you see where we are. Does 8 years seem like a lot of time to you? Nothing. 8 years later, considered, an expert in the industry, national guy, educator, got all this going on, one of the best wholesalers, got all this other BS that's going on. Reality is I'm just like you. That's it. What I figured out is what you see on the screen. I got a system for everything. For everything. So I don't have to do it. And that's what's ultimately made me very successful. Is I don't want to do the stuff. It's not a part of being lazy. It's just a part of about I just want to spend my time doing what I want to do. I don't mind doing it. I just don't need to do it. I told you this earlier. I'm going to tell you it again. Marketing. Marketing is your business. You're not in the business of real estate. You have to have leads. If you don't, if you show me a business that has stopped producing leads, I'll show you a business that's done on its way out. And I don't care what your business is. You have to have prospects. You have to have new opportunities coming in all the time. I mean, you got some of the largest companies in the world that still do this every day. Coca-Cola's always looking for new distributors. Right? Always looking for new channels to move their product out. Boeing, always looking for new people to buy their airplanes. What's the new up and coming? I mean, this is your business. Whether you are right here or right here. It's always about how much opportunity you're bringing in the door. You've got to embrace marketing. Next, mentoring and masterminding. By show of hands, let me see. How many of you have somebody that you consider to be a mentor in your life right now? Look around, guys. Not even half. Take it from the guy who, by definition, was, this cocky guy that just thought he knew it all. When I embraced number 13, everything changed. When you figure out that you don't know what you don't know, it's pretty powerful. Right now, I have 2 business coaches. I have a business coach, an internet coach, a speaking coach, and I belong to 3 masterminds. where I surround myself with and spend thousands. I mean, one of these masterminds is 35,000. One's 25. One's 15. Coaches are basically the same. Hundreds of thousands of dollars going out the door that have allowed me to build millions of dollars in business. And I would tell you is directly attributable to that right there. Because here's the deal. Kind of goes hand in hand. Write this underneath there. There's no need for you to be a trailblazer. Somebody's already done it. They're successful at it. And they're willing to show you how to do it. Do what successful people do and you will get similar results. Go be a trailblazer. Well, let's just say I've gone down that path too. And it's nowhere near as attractive. You can learn on your dime or you can learn on their dime. There's guys that are more than willing to show you what it takes. And those of you that have gone through, our coaching program and you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, you can cut the learning curve quickly, or you can go out there and go to the school of hard knocks. I hired a mentor. It's one of the first things I did after I got going with that $8,000. This is kind of funny. It's kind of a funny story here. So when you say the word mentor, we all have this kind of picture, right? I'm picturing somebody like a Ron LeGrand or somebody like that to walk through my door. This older guy, 50, to show you how to do it, right? Well, I hire a mentor, and I don't know this guy. Some guy they're sending out to my house. This kid named Alex. Well, this kid shows up at my door, rings the doorbell. I open the door. This kid's like 20. Shorter than me, smaller than me, looks like fresh out of high school. I'm like, you must be kidding. There's no way you're the mentor, right? Did I miss the memo? This is not going to work. Well, he proceeds to walk in there and show me how he had built this wholesaling business in North Carolina and was doing about 55 transactions a year. I was like, okay, well, you got my attention. I'll actually listen to you. Here I am thinking I know more than I know. Shocking, I know. He walks in the door, and the very first thing he lays on me, it was the whole, you got to make 100 offers a day. And we're going to do it right here. I'm like, dude, I'm not making 100 offers. He's like, oh, no, we're going to do it today. I'm here. We're doing it right now. Bring the fax machine. Fill out the paperwork. We're sending them right now. And I'm like, oh, hell. Here we go. Right? He's got to know something. I mean, never looked at anything. Here's where it is in the MLS. We're offering 50 cents on the dollar across the board. I don't care. Send the offers. And I'm just like, well, what happens if they call? He's like, shut up and send. What happens if, shut up and send. Well, but shut up and send. This is a 20-year-old kid talking to me, right? This is not going well. I did it. Got through the day, and we had one callback the next day. But on that one callback, we made $22,000. That'll get your attention. Considering I had paid him $25 to be there, I was like, all right, this is good. I like this. We can do this, right? It empowered me. I quickly figured out that it was a numbers game. I don't want you to think that a lot of this stuff that I show you up here, that it's just, we figured that out over experience, but this is also a lot of stuff that we've learned over the years by being taught by other people, by surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals that we're learning from their experience. Than Merrill's one of my best friends in the world at this point. I talk to him several times a week. He, Paul, and all those guys over there, we've become very, very close. I don't have to go through the headaches of, rehabbing 150 houses retail, right? And trying to sell $500,000 houses and rehab them. I don't need that experience because they've got it, right? They're more than willing to tell me, hey, when you do it, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Does that make sense? That's the power. That's really leveraging people. We've got a lot of experience. We know how to make things happen. You get around people that have been successful, and I don't care what this is in your life, by the way. One of the first things I did was not too long ago, I decided that I was going to go drop a bunch, I wasn't like I was fat or anything, but I decided that I just felt like I could get in better shape. So what's the first thing you do? Hire a coach. Get a trainer. Get a nutritionist. Figure out how to eat better. Figure out how to work out better. Do all it, right? Why do you treat your business any different? Why do you treat your business any different? First thing Tiger Woods goes and does, one of the most successful guys in the world, First thing he does, hires a coach, swing coach, right? Everybody needs this. And if you will embrace that, you'll find that it's very powerful. Here you go. The best rule that you could live by. Stop listening to broke-ass people. They don't know anything about your success. Nothing infuriates me more than people that have never taken a risk in their life, sitting over there making $32,000 a year in their little comfy job, and they want to tell me how to be successful and whether I should do this or do that. And they all got an opinion about it, right? Here's your choice. You can listen to me or you can listen to them. I've been there, done that, and I'm one of them. There's a lot of people in this room that would fit in that category. Heather, everybody. Bottom line, if you've built a business, it's successful, it's gotten to a certain level, then you're probably somebody you want to take advice from. If they've never taken a risk in their life, they're working for somebody else, and that's not the life you want, then you have no business listening to them about your dream life. Just get away. Get away. And sometimes I'll tell you that those are some pretty tough decisions. I had to get some people out of my life, some of my good friends. I had to push them away. It was just, it's not good energy for me. I can't be listening to how, the world's raining on your parade and how, how everybody needs to feel sorry for you and how you got this drama going on and that drama going on and this is how this guy did you wrong and that's how that guy did you. Listen, I can't be around that, brother. If you want to turn it around and let me help you turn it around, I'm here for you. But if all you're going to do is sit here and piss and moan and feel sorry for yourself, move on. Because I can't be a part of that. My life's too important to me. My energy's too important to me. Does that make sense, everybody? And I know you have naysayers around you. You got to get away from them. Get them away. Push them away. Be straight with them. Which kind of leads me to the last thing here. Burn the boats, baby. Huh? Here's what I mean by this. Everybody know the story I'm getting ready to tell? Cortez. Hernando Cortez. He sailed. So back, I don't even know the dates. I won't even try to pretend like I know the dates. Basically, in Mexico, there was a wealth of gold. The Aztecs and the Spaniards had spent centuries trying to go and fight the Aztecs to get the gold. Right? So Hernando Cortez sails over and he tells his men, we're going to win this battle. Failure's not an option. In fact, the only way we're going home is if we get the gold, build new boats, and sail home. Because right now, you're going to go burn the boats on the beach. So they sail over and they burn their ships. Failure's not an option. If you don't give yourself the opportunity to fail, I'm pretty sure they were highly motivated to succeed. Would you not agree? Highly motivated for success. Listen, I got no choice but to be successful at this point. I just told you, I'm unemployable. What am I going to do? I got kids. I got a family. I got people all over the country counting on me to continue to build. I had a guy just come back to me a second ago. Keep pushing your business up because I'm coming for you. I want to get there one day. You got to keep growing because I want to keep growing. I love that. I love that. Failure's not an option for me. I'm not going back. I've burnt my boats long ago. It is what it is. Am I scared of falling down? No, because falling down is not failure. Falling down is just an opportunity to get back up. You got to burn the boats. Just tell yourself it changes right now. There's a big reason, guys, why I've embraced the strategy and embraced the branding around it now. Because I really don't believe there's not a word that means more to me. Pretty obvious, right? Than the word now. I think it is so highly powerful when you understand that right now is the only thing that matters. 5 minutes from now, in either direction, nobody cares. What are you going to do right now? This moment to make it different from the last. Push. Go. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your family. You owe it to your kids. You got to push. This is your dream. You don't get 2 shots at this. You get 1 right now. Look at it. Find cash buyers now. Find private lenders now. 1-800-SELL-NOW. There's nobody that believes in it more than me. I live it every day. Burn the boats. Doesn't matter what happened yesterday. I don't care if you lost everything last year. Don't care. Don't care. Doesn't matter. You can't change that. I'll give you a little tidbit here, which I rarely share, but it's really good advice that I got from Dale Carnegie. Write this down. It's not on the board here. Some great advice. It really took a lot of stress off me in my life when I went through this. It was called living your life in day-tight compartments. Day-tight compartments. Now, here's what he meant and why it's a great, great analogy. Unfortunately, we're sitting here in the news where a cruise ship just went down. But if you think about on a cruise ship, submarine, whatever, we've all seen these on the movies where they have the doors swing open and then they've got the wheels that turn on them, right? And they shut it off, close off that compartment so that when that compartment floods, or if it floods, it doesn't take the whole boat down. You know what that means? You know, that's what that's for. Where the guys have to step through, pull the door, shut it, right? What's happening on that side where it's flooding is not going to take me down if I'm in here. What's happening on that side, when I shut this door, is not going to take me down when I'm in here. I'm in day-tight compartments. Yesterday is not even relevant. I can't change anything about it. It happened. It happened. It's over. Done. As much as I want to change it, it doesn't matter. Tomorrow, I can't do one thing today to change tomorrow except make good decisions right now. Now, the decisions I make today will determine my tomorrow. It doesn't do me any good to worry about it. Shut it off. Let's make good decisions right now in this moment. Burn the boats. Get it behind you. Move ahead. Fair enough? Does that make sense to everybody? Does this stuff help you? Yes? All right, I'll leave you with this. Let me tell you. You got to be a pretty ballsy guy to go in the middle of swampland and buy thousands and thousands of acres and try to convince the world that it's a good idea to build a resort out there all based on a mouse. Right? You got to be even ballsier considering that you'd already filed for bankruptcy twice. Guys, this is one of the most successful businesses in the world today. Disney. They have their hands in just about everything. Just about it. They own ESPN, they own ABC, they own the movie theaters, they own Pixar. I mean, they own it all. Everything. Hundreds of billions of dollars go through this company, right? Massively, massively successful. And you understand that it all started with one dude trying to make a movie about a mouse. That's what it was. You can't cut it any more than that. You think you got a tough road ahead of you trying to buy and sell houses? Try trying to sell a concept about a mouse. There's only one way to start doing it. Get going. Get going.